Ladies, let me tell you something. Loving a man should never cost you your soul. You were not created just to be somebody's second chance, someone's emotional crutch, or the background character in a story you were meant to write. Love is powerful, yes. It is beautiful, but it is not meant to make you disappear. Somewhere along the line, society convinced you that a good woman is the one who stays. No matter how bad it gets, that to be valuable, you must endure pain in silence. That to be chosen, you must shrink. But I came to break that lie today because here's the truth. Real love, healthy love, will never ask you to sacrifice the very core of who you are. It will not demand your essence as payment. And any man who makes you feel like you're asking for too much just by being yourself is not your man. So let me tell you the 10 things no woman should ever sacrifice for love. And if you find yourself giving them up, baby, it's not love, it's captivity. Rears, your voice. Your voice is your power. It's how you name your boundaries, your dreams, your truth. When you give up your voice to make peace, you silence your own soul. You start walking on eggshells in your own life. Let me tell you this. If you can't say what you feel, if you're constantly afraid of upsetting him by just being honest, you're not in love. You're in survival mode. And a woman in survival mode is not living, she's shrinking. Real love allows room for your truth. Speak it. T, your purpose. You had a calling before you ever had a man. Before the dates, the good morning texts, the late night calls. God put a purpose in you, and no relationship, no matter how romantic or promising, should pull you off course. If you find yourself editing your dreams, shelving your ambition, or abandoning your goals just to make him comfortable, that's not love. That's a slow death of destiny. Love should water your vision, not wipe it away. A man who loves you will not be intimidated by your light. He will help you shine brighter. If your peace, you can be in love and still be tired. You can be in a relationship and still feel alone. When your spirit is always on edge, your mind is always racing, and your home feels like a war zone, baby. That's not love. That's emotional taxation. Peace is not a luxury, it's a requirement. If being with him costs you your peace of mind, your ability to sleep at night, your emotional clarity, that's too high a price. Love isn't supposed to feel like anxiety. Love should feel like rest. Your family and friends. I've seen it too many times. Good women isolated in the name of love. A man who slowly cuts her off from the people who love her most. First is your mom doesn't like me. Then your friends are a bad influence. Before she knows it, she's on an island with no one but him. Listen to me, real love doesn't separate, it integrates. Any man who makes you choose between him and your people is building a cage, not a castle. And baby, the moment you lose your support system, you lose your strength. Your self-worth. You don't need to earn love. You don't need to prove yourself worthy of attention. If you constantly feel like you have to audition for his approval, you've forgotten who you are. Let me say this loud, you are enough. You are worthy, not because of what you do, not because of how you look, not because you serve him, stay quiet, or sacrifice. You are worthy because you exist. Any love that makes you doubt that is a counterfeit. Real love affirms your value. It doesn't auction it off. If your standards. Stop lowering the bar to make a man feel tall. Stop shrinking your expectations just to keep someone who was never meant to stay. You have standards for a reason. They protect your heart and honor your future. If he can't meet you at your level, let him walk. Don't dim your standards for a man who refuses to rise. Love should challenge both of you to grow, not pressure one of you to settle. A real man will rise to meet you, not ask you to lower the ladder. 7. Your faith. Your relationship with God is not up for negotiation. It's not something you sacrifice to please a man or keep the peace. A man who mocks your convictions, pulls you away from your walk with God, or makes you feel foolish for praying is not your partner. He's your one, ladies. The man who truly loves you will want to meet the God who made you. He won't pull you from your faith, he'll anchor you in it. Your spirit matters, protected with everything you've got. If your body is yours, not a bargaining chip, not a tool to earn love. If he's pressuring you to cross boundaries you're not comfortable with, that's not love. It's manipulation dressed in romance. You do not owe your body to anyone just because they're nice or because they say they love you. Love respects, love waits, love listens. Don't sacrifice your body to keep a man who wouldn't stay otherwise. If he only wants you for what you can give, he was never yours to begin with. Your identity. Love doesn't require you to lose yourself. You should not have to morph into a version of a woman he finds acceptable. If you can't laugh the way you used to, dress the way you love, or enjoy the things that make you, then who exactly is in love here? Don't abandon your quirks, your style, your essence. The right man will love the real you, not the role you're performing. You should not need to become a stranger in your own life just to be loved. If you look in the mirror and don't recognize yourself anymore, it's time to walk. Tend your future. Some of you are sacrificing a lifetime of joy for temporary attachment. You're letting go of long-term dreams to keep short-term comfort. That's not love. That's a slow leak in your destiny. Your future is too important to gamble on someone who doesn't see it, speak to it, or build toward it with you. Love should be a foundation, not a detour. If the relationship costs you the life you prayed for, it's time to let it go. You didn't survive everything you've been through just to settle now. So hear me, woman of worth. Stop trading gold for gravel. Stop confusing pain with passion. Stop sacrificing everything just to be chosen by someone who doesn't even know how to cherish you. You were not made to be a martyr for someone else's emotional immaturity. You are not hard to love. You are not too much. You are not asking for the impossible. You're just finally asking for what you deserve. You can love and still walk away. You can forgive and still protect your peace. You can care deeply and still choose yourself. Because the greatest love you'll ever know will not come from another person. It will rise from within when you decide, once and for all, to stop sacrificing who you are just to be loved by someone who doesn't even know who he is. Love should never cost you everything. And baby, from this moment forward, it won't. Sometimes love comes wrapped in apologies that don't change anything. Promises that sound beautiful but never see the light of action. Gestures that glitter on the outside but cut you on the inside. And you, being the woman of grace that you are, keep waiting, hoping, convincing yourself that if you just love a little harder, compromise a little more, dim a little further, maybe this time it'll be enough. But you were never meant to bleed for someone else's healing. You weren't born to carry a man's unhealed wounds and call it partnership. You are not a rehab center for broken men who refuse to grow. Let him go. Because when a woman starts giving away parts of herself for the illusion of security, the slow erosion begins. Not overnight, but little by little. First it's your laughter, then your boundaries, then your joy. Before long, you've forgotten how to dream, how to dance, how to recognize your own reflection. That is not the price of love. That is the theft of identity. You deserve a love that expands you, not exhausts you. A love that sees you as equal, not as a love that stands beside you, not above you, not behind you, not in front of you, demanding submission while calling it leadership. Some of you are confusing control with care. You think jealousy is a sign of love. You think being monitored is attention. But real love isn't surveillance, it's freedom. A man who loves you won't chain you to his insecurities. He'll build a space where you can soar without fear. And let me speak to the woman who keeps saying, but he wasn't always like this. I know, that's the hardest part. The memory of who he was still haunts the reality of who he's become. But love is not a museum. You cannot stay trapped in the exhibit of what used to be. What matters is who he is today, and whether that version is nurturing your growth or poisoning your spirit. Loyalty should never become your prison. You are allowed to evolve beyond who you were when you met him. You are allowed to outgrow the relationship. You are allowed to say, this no longer fits where I'm going. And that's not betrayal, that's bravery. You don't owe anyone a lifetime just because you gave them your past. You don't owe your future to someone who has no intention of honoring it. Love is not supposed to be paid back in pain, and your history with someone is not a chain, it's a chapter. If the story is hurting you, write a new one. I want you to look around your life and ask yourself, where have I disappeared? What parts of yourself have gone quiet? What dreams have you buried just to keep the peace? What passions have you silenced because they made him uncomfortable? What opportunities did you decline because he said you weren't ready? And most importantly, when did you stop asking what you needed in return? So many women are taught to give love, give time, give energy, give second chances. But were you ever taught to receive, to be poured into with the same consistency you pour out? Love that only takes is not love, it's consumption. You are not fuel for someone else's fire. Let him call you selfish if he wants to. Let them say you changed because maybe you did. Maybe you finally woke up. Maybe you finally realized that being the woman who always sacrifices doesn't make you strong. It makes you depleted. Strength is in knowing when to stay, yes, but it is also in knowing when to walk. And for the woman who's been told, you're too hard to love, listen to me carefully. That is a lie meant to tame you. You are not too complicated. You are not too emotional. You are not too ambitious. You are a force. You are layered. You are magic wrapped in skin. And the right man will not just tolerate those layers. He will rejoice in them. He will not fear your fire. He will match it. You are not a lesson for someone to learn when they're done playing games. You are not the woman he comes back to when he's done breaking others. You are not a waiting room for a man on a journey of self-discovery. You are the destination, the home, the prize. If he doesn't see that, let him keep walking. There is something divine about a woman who finally decides she is done being broken for the sake of belonging. When she rises, whole and holy, refusing to accept crumbs just to say she has a seat at the table, that is when the world shifts. And yes, people will talk. They'll say you're too proud, too picky, too demanding, but let them. They never questioned your silence while you were suffering. They only found their voice when you used yours. So let them whisper while you walk in freedom. Because here's the truth. They don't want you to realize when you stop sacrificing everything just to keep a man, you make space for the right one to find you. The one who won't need you to prove your worth. The one who won't punish you for your past. The one who will show up with both love and honor. He's not scared by your brilliance. He's not shaken by your strength. He's inspired by it. But you can't meet him if you're still glued to the ghost of a man who couldn't love you properly. So take your heart back, reclaim your fire, restore your standards, and remember who you are. You were never meant to beg for what you deserve. You were born to receive it unapologetically. You want to know what the most dangerous thing in this world is? A woman who forgets her own value. A woman who has been so conditioned to think that her worth is in how much she can take, how much disrespect, how much silence, how many broken promises, that she starts calling endurance a virtue instead of recognizing it as a wound. But there's nothing noble about staying in a place that keeps dimming you. They told you love was patient, but they forgot to tell you that patience without reciprocation is self-abandonment. They told you to be a ride or die, but they never told you that dying inside for someone who won't even meet you halfway is not loyalty, it's loss. You do not have to be the woman who bends until she breaks just to prove she's lovable. You do not have to play small so someone else can feel big. And you certainly don't need to become a shell of yourself just to carry the image of the perfect partner. Because somewhere inside you is the girl who once dreamed loud, who once laughed from her gut, who once walked into every room knowing she deserved to be there. That girl isn't gone. She's just buried under the weight of everything you were told to sacrifice. And now it's time to dig her out. Do you remember when your dreams were wild and didn't need permission? When you loved yourself without apology? When you had boundaries and didn't feel guilty for them? That version of you wasn't a phase, it was a truce. The world just got too loud, and the wrong love tried to convince you that tone it down meant be acceptable. But let me remind you, you were never meant to be acceptable. You were meant to be authentic. Authentic women will always be too much for counterfeit love. Let him find a woman who is okay being ignored, silenced, or used. That woman is not you. You are not here to be emotionally available for someone who is emotionally absent. You are not here to raise a grown man into the partner he should already be. You are not a project. You are not a placeholder. You are not a consolation prize for a man still grieving his own manhood. You are the table. You are the feast. You are the invitation and the blessing. Stop sitting at tables where you're only fed when you're starving for crumbs. Start sitting at tables where you are served with joy, seen with clarity, and loved without condition. Too many women are sacrificing the very things that make them divine in exchange for bare minimum energy, wrapped in temporary affection. He buys flowers when you cry. He comes back when you threaten to leave. He's good for a week and then disappears again. That's not growth. That's a cycle. That's not change. That's emotional manipulation with pretty packaging. And you, beautiful soul, deserve consistency. Not just on holidays. Not just when you're mad. Not just when you pull away. Consistency. That's the language of real love. That's the difference between convenience and commitment. Stop confusing attention with intention. He may give you access, but does he give you effort? He may text you daily, but does he speak to your spirit? He may hold your hand in public, but does he hold your heart in private? Because love that's only loud in front of others but silent behind closed doors is not love. That's performance. And you weren't born to be anyone's prop. You were born to be partnered. And I know you've invested time, years, tears. You've prayed for him, waited for him, believed in him. But let me tell you something powerful. Just because you've invested doesn't mean you have to stay bankrupt. Some relationships are emotional scams. They promise you interest but leave you in debt. Walk away. Your worth is not attached to how long you endure. Your worth is in the moment you finally said enough. Because when a woman finally says enough, mountains move, not because she's bitter, but because she's better. Not because she gave up, but because she got up. Not because she stopped loving him, but because she finally started loving herself more. You owe no one an explanation for protecting your peace. You owe no one a speech for choosing yourself. Let them call it selfish. Let them misunderstand your healing. Let them whisper about your glow up, because while they're talking, you're rising. And let me talk to the women who are mothers, caretakers, leaders. You who carry others and lead from the front, even you must remember, your emotional health is not optional. You cannot pour from a cup that stays cracked. You cannot give your best when you're surviving off emotional fumes. Love should be the place you refuel, not the reason you're constantly on empty. If your relationship feels like work but never like reward, it's time to evaluate the partnership. If you feel lonelier with him than without him, that's your spirit speaking. Listen, you can love someone deeply and still walk away with dignity. You can miss the good moments and still choose a better future. You can honor what it was without staying stuck in what it has become. Growth isn't disrespect. Boundaries aren't betrayal. Choosing healing is not an act of cruelty. It's an act of power. And don't be afraid of starting over. A new chapter doesn't mean failure. It means freedom. You are not too old. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are ready. Ready to feel safe in your own skin again. Ready to laugh without the weight of pretending. Ready to be loved fully, faithfully, fiercely. But it all starts with this, the decision to stop sacrificing who you are for someone who only ever loved the idea of you. Because when you finally step into your truth, when you finally reclaim every piece you gave away, when you finally become whole on your own, that's when the real love finds you. The kind that doesn't ask you to fold, the kind that matches your energy, the kind that walks beside you, not ahead of you or behind you. You deserve that love, and you deserve to start living like it. Healing isn't about pretending it never happened. Healing is about facing what did and choosing to stop letting it control what happens next. Because the version of you that endured it all, kept giving, kept hoping, kept choosing love, even when it was hurting you. She deserves a life where she's not just surviving. She deserves a life where she's thriving. And that life is not found in constantly proving your loyalty to someone who weaponizes your love. It's not found in begging for effort. It's not found in shrinking so someone else can feel superior. That life begins the moment you decide that your well-being is not up for negotiation. Somewhere out there, a man will meet you with the reverence your soul has longed for. But he cannot find you if you're still hiding in relationships that require your silence to survive. The woman who hides her light to make love work will always feel like she's chasing her own shadow. You were never meant to be quiet in your own life. You were never created to tiptoe around someone else's ego. You're not here to babysit a grown man's insecurities or decode a love that should be fluent. The love you deserve won't require a decoder. It won't leave you guessing where you stand. It won't punish you for being expressive. It won't vanish when you need support. And it damn sure won't ask you to apologize for your standards. You don't need to be anyone's lesson. You are not the heartbreak before he grows up. You are not the woman who builds him, teaches him, and then gets replaced when he's finally ready. No, you are the destination, not a checkpoint. You are not a blueprint for another woman's blessing. Let that sink in. There's a kind of strength that can only be found in walking away from what you once thought you couldn't live without. It's not loud. It's not vengeful. It's sacred. It's quiet. It's the sound of a woman finally coming home to herself. You may not get applause for it. You may not get understanding, but you will get freedom. And freedom is worth everything. Freedom to say no without guilt. Freedom to be loved without conditions. Freedom to rise without asking for permission. Freedom to define love on your own terms, not from desperation, but from discernment. Because the moment you realize that peace is more important than presence, you stop fighting to keep people who are fighting to forget your worth. And let's be real, there are some people you're just not meant to finish the race with. Some people were only ever meant to walk with you for a season. The mistake we make is trying to turn seasonal people into lifetime partners. You think if you give more, prove more, endure more, they'll become the version you imagine. But sometimes the most loving thing you can do is accept who they really are and leave. Not every connection is a covenant. Some people are your classroom. Some people are your test. But only one person will be your partner. And that man will never need you to be less in order to be loved more. He'll love the fire. He'll respect the mind. He'll admire the boundaries. He'll protect your name when you're not in the room. He'll pour into you even when you're not asking. He'll understand that love isn't possession, it's partnership. That kind of love doesn't hurt, it heals. It doesn't pull you backwards, it pushes you higher. But you don't attract that kind of love by clinging to what's beneath you. You attract it by rising. Sometimes rising means releasing. So if you're holding on to a relationship that only makes you feel small, ask yourself this. Is this truly love or just my fear of being alone dressed up as loyalty? Because fear will keep you in places your soul has outgrown. But faith will push you into rooms you never knew you were worthy of. You can have love without losing yourself. You can have romance without regret. You can have connection without codependency. You don't need to perform for love. You don't need to earn what you were born worthy of. You are not currency. You are not a transaction. You are a temple. Let a man approach you like he knows heaven built you. And if he doesn't, let him keep walking. Because the woman you are becoming has no space for halfway love. She doesn't crave bare minimum effort. She's not impressed by attention. She wants alignment. She's not excited by potential. She needs consistency. She doesn't settle for situations. She demands intentionality. She's not afraid to walk away. She's afraid of betraying herself one more time. And if that woman is you, then baby, let me be the first to say, I see you. I see the tired in your eyes and the fire in your heart. I see the way you're holding it together when no one else notices the pieces. I see how much you've sacrificed. I see the silent battles, the quiet disappointments, the loud prayers you whisper at midnight. But I also see the shift. I see the power coming back. I see the awakening. I see the decision in your soul that says never again. Never again will you be the only one showing up. Never again will you water a man who refuses to grow. Never again will you mistake struggle for intimacy. Never again will you call chaos passion. Never again will you trade peace for potential. Never again will you abandon yourself to feel temporarily wanted. You've done enough, then it's time to rebuild. You've done enough giving, it's time to receive. You've done enough surviving, it's time to live. And you won't just live, you'll flourish. You'll thrive in rooms where your voice echoes. You'll stand beside someone who sees your power and still chooses tenderness. You'll build a life where you are the main character, not the understudy. Because when you finally stop sacrificing everything just to be loved, you finally become the woman love has been searching for. Unapologetic, unbothered, unavailable to anything that doesn't feel like truth. And in that moment, you don't just win in love, you win in life. Some people will only love you when you make them the center of your world. And the moment you choose yourself, they call you selfish. But let me tell you something real. A love that demands your silence to survive is not love, it's control. And you were not created to be controlled. You were created to be cherished. Love is not a chain. It's not a leash. It's not a contract that binds you to misery in the name of commitment. Love is supposed to feel like freedom, like sunlight, like rest for the soul. And if you've never felt that, if all you've known is confusion, tension, and walking on emotional tightropes, then you haven't met love yet. You've only met its imposters. There is no growth in a space where you're constantly second-guessing your worth. And let's be honest, too many women have learned to settle in relationships that never saw their full value. They got used to crumbs. They adapted to silence. They stopped asking for more because every time they did, they were told they were too much. Let that be the last time anyone convinces you that your needs are an inconvenience. You are not difficult. You are detailed. You are not needy. You are intuitive. You are not emotional. You are expressive. And a man who can't handle your truth has no business having access to your heart. Your softness is not a weakness. Your sensitivity is not a flaw. The world told you to toughen up because it didn't know what to do with a woman who felt deeply and loved fully. But I'm here to tell you, don't harden. Don't close. Don't become what hurt you. Heal instead. Because the healed woman walks differently. She doesn't chase. She doesn't beg. She doesn't negotiate with confusion. She knows that closure doesn't always come in the form of an apology. It sometimes comes in the form of clarity. And the clearest thing you can do right now is stop sacrificing parts of yourself for people who never intended to protect them. You deserve a relationship where you're not always the emotional firefighter, where your love doesn't require you to constantly rescue, explain, or apologize for simply existing. You deserve to be with someone who listens not just to your words, but to your silences. You deserve someone who sees your scars and doesn't run, someone who doesn't use your past against you, someone who reminds you that your story didn't make you unworthy, it made you unshakable. And if that's not who you're with, it's not too late to choose again. It's not too late to rewrite the narrative you were told. It's not too late to say, I will no longer pay for love with my peace. You're not stuck. You're just scared. Scared to be alone. Scared to start over. Scared to face the unknown. But let me remind you, fear is temporary. Regret is permanent. What you choose to tolerate today becomes your standard tomorrow. So stop tolerating being overlooked. Stop tolerating emotional inconsistency. Stop tolerating a man who only shows up when you threaten to leave. You are not a revolving door. You are not an emotional convenience store open 24/7. You are a palace, and it's time you started treating yourself like one. Close the door on one-sided relationships. Stop investing your best years in someone who keeps showing you they're not ready. Let go of the hope that he'll become someone else, someone more present, more consistent, more secure. That version exists, but maybe it's not in him, and that's okay. Grieve the fantasy, release the illusion, mourn what could have been, but don't stay trapped in potential. You can't build a life on maybe one day. You build it on this is who I am, and this is what I need. Your needs are not too big. They just don't fit inside a small man. So what if you walk away and feel lonely? Loneliness is not the enemy. Settling as being single isn't a curse. It's a season, a powerful, purifying season that teaches you how to hear your own voice again, how to trust your instincts, how to recognize red flags before they become regret. It's the season that prepares you for what you prayed for, because love that finds you when you've already found yourself, that's the kind that lasts. So don't rush it, don't chase it, don't bend just to say you're not alone. Real love won't pass you by. Real love sees you. Real love chooses you without hesitation. Real love doesn't punish you for being healed, bold, or whole. But that love will only feel familiar to a woman who has made peace with herself. A woman who no longer negotiates her boundaries just to avoid conflict. A woman who no longer tolerates half love just to feel like she matters. A woman who knows that walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Let wisdom guide you now. Not pressure, not time, not people's opinions, not fear of starting over. Let wisdom rise from within and remind you of your worth. Because when you operate from wisdom, your choices begin to change. And when your choices change, so does your life. You begin to attract peace. You begin to call in clarity. You begin to recognize healthy love, not by how exciting it feels, but by how safe it makes you. No more bargaining with chaos. No more romanticizing struggle. No more loving potential while ignoring reality. From this day forward, your love will be rooted in reciprocity, in presence, in peace, in protection. You are not a second option. You are not his backup plan. You are not the if nothing else works out woman. You are the answered prayer. You are the standard. You are the divine confirmation of what real love looks like. And you deserve someone who recognizes that without needing 1,000 chances to get it right. So walk boldly, walk freely, walk fully into the version of yourself that refuses to keep paying a spiritual tax just to say you're loved. You don't need to be rescued. You just need to remember that you already have the power, because the moment you stop sacrificing what matters, you stop surviving and you finally start living it.